critical thing in ensuring that students have responses which are of their own work is initially using the syllabus to have a look at what the task asks.
To ensure the students produce their own responses, first of all we actually get the teachers to talk to the students when the assessment's given out to make sure that they know how important it is that they do their own work. We try and make the instrument open-ended as best we can. We also try and use students' own data, where they collect their own data, whether we actually provide them with different sets of data. That way at least we feel that they're doing work on their own.
In our school, because we have 100 students in the cohort, the easy way for me to do it was to set it up as a spreadsheet and then did a mail merge. And so it looked like the same document being given out to every kid. Amongst 100 kids, there was no two that were identical. So they all had different information and different numbers to work with.
That allows the student to design their own experiments, do things in completely different ways, and come up with solutions that are very novel from the person who was working on the next desk to them. And I think that's the key.
To ensure that the final product is the student's own work, there are a few techniques that I've used in the past. Making sure that drafts are being submitted so that I can see that the work that has been submitted is their work. They then get the feedback on that they can adjust and change, and then the final piece of work should then be somewhat similar to the draft.
They can have a number of draft dates, but we have one specific one, which about halfway through the assignment, we can see if the students basically are doing their own work and preparation. We can sort of see their notes, etc., and it is easy then to see if they're actually doing the work on their own.
As a teacher, I'd talk to my students about what was in their draft. I'm not marking their draft, I'm not giving that, but as I said before, I'm part of the research process for them. I'm a resource they use, and so we would talk about ideas. Because all students are taking these problems in different ways.
Whenever a student is completing a task, we always make sure that there are checkpoints along the way. The purpose of the task is not to allow them to just run off and do something and then come back at some point later and with some piece of work that may or may not have addressed the task.
Sequencing when you engage with students is critically important. We use a number of strategies in my school. One is breaking the tasks down into 3 or 4 stages. It has a two-pronged, I suppose, benefit there. One is that it makes it more digestible for students. Secondly, you've got critical checkpoints where, as a teacher, I then conference with the students. I can see where they're up to. I can be giving them feedback. I'm looking for work that has been evidenced in the journal, and that shows the ownership of the work there. And at the same time, it's a chance to redirect students with how they're going with the task.
We always try to make sure that we're checking in with the students as they go through, whether that's through a draft or some checkpoints for an investigation, for example, making sure that they understand the background research, making sure that they have developed an aim and a hypothesis, have designed their experiment correctly.
Journals are very effective for students engaging with other activities which allow them then to show modification of their procedural design. And that's a significant identifier that we're looking for in student work in extended experimental investigations as well as extended responses.
As we're seeing the students conduct the experiments in class, we know what sort of analysis that they'll do with that data. We know what the key points are that they need to follow through on.
I go around and stamp journals every second lesson or so and put the date in. I can see where they're at, and if suddenly something different occurs, then it stands out.
So regular checkpoints throughout the process and not just a wait for the final product to come in.
If the work can't be, I suppose, authenticated, then I won't allocate a standard against that particular work.
In scientific research, it's a difficult one because you are wanting to advance knowledge. You are going to look up, you're going to find people. The thing we're trying to stop them doing is not that they've gone and accessed other work, it's that they pretend it's their own.
My thought is to discount that particular section of work because we can only substantiate the work that obviously the student has done.
We had a situation where just about the whole assignment was plagiarised, in which case the student was deemed to have not completed the task. Other options are to ignore the parts that have been plagiarised, so that if there's a paragraph here or a graph there, that those particular aspects are not considered in the student's response.
Everything has to be evidence-based. If the evidence is not there, then you can't award a standard against that.